So the satanic and demonic music industry has struck again, because it's being reported that Tory Lanez lungs collapsed after he was stabbed 14 times after an inmate violently attacked him in prison. And guys, I don't know if it's ever been made so obvious that the music industry is rigged and powerful, not just in the music industry, but with its ties to other industries as well. Just like the NBA, by the way, because for those of you who don't know, the Dallas Mavericks earlier this year randomly traded Luka Doncic, one of the top NBA players in the league, and it literally made sense to nobody because they just came from the NBA Finals. Luka is one of the best players. Why would you do that? Everybody hated their GM and Nico Harrison, and now yesterday it finally made sense. After the Dallas Mavericks, who was just fighting for a playoff spot just a few weeks ago, had less than 1% chance to get the number 1 overall pick, just won the number 1 overall pick in the NBA lottery, which I'm not seeing anybody arguing against the fact that the NBA is clearly rigged, but I digress. Let me tell y'all how we got to this point when it comes to Tory Lanez, and let's see if you all come to the same conclusion I came to, which is this is 100% tied to the music industry. And please consider becoming a member of the channel. And if you want the uncut version of this video, please join my Patreon. You won't regret it. So on August 8, 2023, Tory Lanez was sentenced to 10 years for shooting Meg Thee Stallion. Despite the fact that Meg Thee Stallion's story changed multiple times, including one of her stories, she insisted on the fact that she stepped on glass. He was sentenced to 10 years despite the fact that Kelsey, the other female that was present when all of this supposedly took place, she changed her story multiple times. There's literally no way to actually know what happened that night. There's no way to prove what happened that night, yet this man was still sentenced to 10 years in prison. It gets even more weird once you realize that right around the time all of this happened with Meg Thee Stallion, Roc Nation was trying to sign Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez declined the offer and said he wanted to go independent.
From Roc Nation that says, yo, we heard you're gonna make a statement about what happened, and it'd be in your best interest if you don't make that statement. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't understand what the issue of me telling my fans, like, yo, look, it's not that serious of a deal. I went to jail for whatever this is. Like, I didn't get for that 2 days why that was an issue. 2 days later, the TMZ report come out. All of a sudden, the affiliates of her circle start pointing like little subliminal fingers, like, count your days.
You say, well, that don't mean that they had anything to do with anything. Well, this story only gets more weird, and the coincidences just stack up and stack up and stack up. Because just months before all of this happened, between Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion, guess who Meg Thee Stallion signed a management deal with in September of 2019? Just a few months before all of this happened. You guessed it, Roc Nation. Then it gets even more weird once you find out that during the trial, Tory Lanez pled not guilty, said that he did nothing wrong, but his attorney kept insisting that he should take a plea deal, which included serving jail time. Tory Lanez's position was, no, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not taking a plea deal. It got so bad that right before everything ended in the trial, Tory Lanez's attorney literally just up and recused herself from the case. I'm going to say it again. Tory Lanez's attorney, after she kept trying to convince him to do jail time, and he kept saying, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm not doing any jail time, she literally just quit on him.
I just stood here in this Los Angeles County and witnessed listen, I've seen so much evidence buried in this, and I know exactly what the public out here will say. Don't talk. You will say, I say this because I'm a father. You all have been bartering and trading the souls of young black and brown men in this country. And I'm calling on all the umbrellas. I'm calling on everybody in this country to begin to rise up. Because your sons have been done dirty. It's not over. God does.
It wasn't until after he was sentenced that Tory Lanez found out that his attorney, the one that he thought was fighting for him, had ties to Roc Nation. You say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. His attorney's name is Sean Cawley, and right after he was convicted, they released a television show that Sean Cawley literally executive produced. The name of the TV show? Reasonable Doubt. And you guessed it, that's the exact same name as one of Jay-Z's album. You say, well, that could be a coincidence. Okay, stick with me. Season 1 of this same show, when you look at the name of every single episode, it literally is so obvious that I feel like this was Jay-Z's way and Rock Nation's way of saying, yep, you guessed it, it's not a coincidence, we did this, and this is our way of saying this is what happens when you turn us down. Episode number 1, Can't Knock the Hustle. You guessed it, that's the name of a Jay-Z record. Family Feud, 99 Problems, Guilty Until Proven Innocent, So Ambitious, Renegade, N-Word What, N-Word Who, Song Cry, Already Home. Every single one of those episode titles are name of Jay-Z records. You even go over into season 2, Can I Live? Also the name of a Jay-Z record. It's literally obvious, and it gets even more obvious when you consider the fact that one of the first songs they played in this show was a Meg Thee Stallion record. So hold on, let me make sure I understand something. The attorney that was representing Tory Lanez is now, or was apparently already, executive producing a show that is quite literally tied to Rock Nation and Jay-Z, who is the boss of the victim that you were just fighting against. Is that really a coincidence? Of course it's not a coincidence. And Tory Lanez knows it's not a coincidence. Because while he was locked up, he released a song called Verdict Day, Lawyer Fees. Listen to what this dude said. The verdict day, guilty on all counts. My opposition finally did it. Let the ball bounce. TMZ plays the announcement on the wall mounts. LA County Jail, it's yells from the wall sounds. Trial lawyer left me like she Kevin Louse. She was in bed with my opposition like wedding vows. Started seeing the effery from bail amounts. The ones who pay her are trying to sue me over Zelle accounts. Sat up in that cell and spoke to Raina for hours on end. Only way they could beat me was using the powers within. They eating hot wasabi coals and sours and gin. I'm ducking stab wounds, snitches and cowardly men. Let's talk on a higher level. Put me in a grave. Forgot to go out and buy a shovel. Rituals, Wicca, and witchcraft on the highest level. All that divination. Never step up to God level. All of the artists that y'all Geppetto are all devils. I just wasn't going for that cause I'm all rebel. No strings attached, I'm independent on all levels. Pinocchio contracts in the back, they was all severed. Sean Hawley, that's a name I would call special. Only a special person could rep you and wanna dead you. Got your DNA expert and say don't test you. You fully excluded, but inconclusive is what she tells you. The DA's first offer was 9 years. The second was 6 at 85, about 5 years. My lawyer keep on pressing me to take it. I'm like, nah, I ain't do the crime, so I'ma sit down right here. She's losing my bail hearings. I feel like it's on purpose. I begin to side eye. I'm seeing what's on surface, but she's a black woman, so hey, I say I trust it. But at what point is it? You did me dusty. Working for my accuser and working for me. All the information I give her is at ROC. Y'all have my lawyer in y'all pocket. She's circling T's. And that's why Megan always talk like jail was certain for me. It's cause y'all paid for them 10 years, let's keep it honest. My judge sitting at the brunch like a plebiscite. And y'all was seeing outcomes and he was seeing dollars. Why would they go to this extent? Please forgive him, Father. As soon as I realized you saw it coming, you started to look back on your tracks and got them covered. You knew that I found out what you did right before the trial. You quit before I fired you and did it with a smile. And I didn't even realize this before, but one of the weirdest things in this verse is he was already talking about he was ducking and dodging stab wounds. What was he insinuating there? Guys, it's red flags all over this. It's literally red flags all over this. You are offered a record deal by Rock Nation. You turn it down, decide to go independent, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know and want to argue that a lot of artists are independent, or Meg Thee Stallion, I think, is technically independent right now, it's a difference. Tory Lanez was literally at the top of the game. For him to go independent and be able to rack in all that money by himself is setting a precedent for other artists to follow along, and they got to use him as an example. That's my personal opinion. Everything in this video is alleged. These are just my views, nobody else's. But let me get this straight. You're offered a record deal. You decide to turn it down. All of a sudden, the situation with Meg Thee Stallion happens, who also happened to be under management of Rock Nation at the time. And despite the fact that their stories are inconsistent, you still find yourself convicted, which, by the way, the attorney you were using at the time was trying to convince you to take a plea deal, which, by the way, the plea deal that they were offering you was right around the time you end up being sentenced to anyways. So you're like, no, I'm gonna take my chances, man. I didn't do anything wrong. And the fact that your attorney wasn't listening to you, you started to sigh, or like, are you here for me or what? And then you get locked up and you let it find out bro, she tied to these people. It reminds me of what they talk about with when a lot of these artists are signed to record labels, the attorney that they have, they think is for them, but no, that's why they sign a lot of bad deals, because the attorney that they have is a lot of times given to them by the record label. Why is that a problem? Because that's a conflict of interest, because they have both the artist and the record label's best interest in mind. How does that work? This is another example of the same thing happening here with Tory Lanez. And I believe it becomes even more apparent when you go to the TMZ article. It says here, Tory Lanez shanked over dozen times, both lungs collapsed. Tory Lanez was hospitalized in critical condition Monday after an angry inmate savagely attacked him with a prison shank, stabbing him over a dozen times all over his body, with the rapper suffering collapsed lungs. Tory's team said he was stabbed 14 times, including 7 times in his back, 4 times in his torso, twice the back of the head, and once in the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed and Tory was placed on a breathing apparatus, though he is now breathing on his own, according to his camp. Y'all, first and foremost, you say, well, in prison, people have all sorts of reasons to attack you. And in fact, they don't even need a reason, especially if you're a celebrity. Y'all, first and foremost, I can count on one hand the amount of times I can recall a celebrity being attacked by anybody in jail, even if they're on the actual yard. A lot of people are fanned out by these people. They'll be protection for these folks for free, let alone for money. But on top of that, the prison itself knows that it's almost a liability to have celebrities in your jail, because if something happens to them, that's all hell's gonna break loose because you allowed this to happen on your yard. And on top of that, the fact that this man was not only attacked by a prison inmate, the dude was attacked with overkill, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't just get stabbed once or twice, 14 times all over your body. To me, that sounds like sending a message. We want you out of here. I don't want to risk you surviving this. You out of here. My job is to make sure that you gone. That's what that looks like to me. And for those of you that want to argue, man, that's not necessarily. Listen, if you are his attorney and you are playing music in a television show, you have to get permission to do that. And who do you have to get permission from? The horse's mouth. You have to hear it from them. They have to give you leeway. So you can't, just like on YouTube, you can't just play anybody's music. You have to get permission from them. But not only that, if you didn't think that was enough, in another one of Tory Lanez's records, this dude raps, Megan Cuniff been on payroll to play a dummy. It's got to be the same standard if it's the same for me. Accused of RAPE, and y'all don't want to judge the way you judge me. Ha, N-words are funny. It's funny. It's so effing funny. I'm not alleging nobody did nothing. I just don't agree with all the fussing and effery. All that picking and choosing, all that sticking and moving. When it was me, I was socially found guilty before they even proved it. My lawyer was playing both sides my whole case. I ain't found out till I was sitting in the cage. I stare at the ceiling, think about the stuff she made me wave. And Randy Zapita got paid to manipulate my DNA. And if you don't know what he's talking about there, he's talking about when he was accused of doing this to Meg Thee Stallion, even though they had very little to no proof, the public and the media pretty much made him guilty automatically. But when it came to Jay-Z and his accusations about the 13-year-old girl alleging that he did X, Y, and Z to her with P. Diddy, when that happened with him, the media actually defended Jay-Z. And he's calling out the double standards. And I agree with him. And I think that right there goes to show what we've been saying many times on this channel. The media is corrupt. All of this stuff is corrupt. Do you all think it's a coincidence that all of this happened to this dude? Do you think it's a coincidence that all of this happened? The timing of it all, which once again, all of this seems to be happening right around the start of the Diddy trial, which is so weird to me. Y'all up in the comment section, give me your thoughts. Have you heard about this? What do you think? Do you think it's something completely separate? It has nothing to do with the whole music industry situation. Hop in the comment section and let me know what you think. Prayers for Tory Lanez. I hope that he's able to make a full recovery. I send my condolences to him and his family that this even happened to begin with. Again, I want to state that I don't agree with everything that Tory Lanez stands for and that he talks about in his music. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And we got to call it out as we see it. Y'all up in the comment section, give me your thoughts, man. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. That's all for this one. Until next time. Peace. Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.